Welcome to the couch with Pratt. Now, today is the 5th of June 2018, and interestingly, today happens to be World Environment Day. We are learning, I say that all the time. And so today we are dedicating our show to sanitation. Our show for tonight actually is titled Sanitation in the Capital. What we are seeking to do is to have an appreciation of the sanitation situation in the capital. We are restricting ourselves to Accra. You know, we are starting small, baby steps, and then we would go into big women and men, literally. What we are seeking to do with this show is to appreciate the overall situation, just to understand. We are producing this in stages, and at another time we might talk about the effects and all of that, you know, the health implications, what have you. For today's show, let's just understand, you know, our situation as the capital of Ghana. What's our sanitation situation? What's prevailing today? Are we getting it right? Are we getting it wrong? You know, what are our problem spots? What are our good spots? And then we can see about how to take the conversation from there. I always ask you to drink water when I start the show. Well, today I'm asking you to drink a specific water. Today I'm asking you to drink sparkle water. Okay, so go grab yourself sparkle water, relax on your couch as we bring you the couch from here. We'll take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're coming back on a short documentary. Stay with us.
According to the World Health Organization, sanitation generally refers to public health conditions related to safe drinking water, clean environment, and proper disposal of rubbish and human excreta. The sanitation system aims to protect human health by providing a clean environment that will control the transmission of diseases and other infections that come along with it. But what do we see in the capital of the Republic of Ghana? Let me help you out with this. Greater Accra region has the smallest area of Ghana's 10 administrative regions, occupying a total land surface of 3,245 square kilometers, which represents 1.4% of the total land area in Ghana and the second most populated region. It is overwhelming when one walks down the streets of Choko, Jamestown, Mamprobi, Adabraka, and other areas. President Nana Addo, in one of his speeches at a Durbar in Accra, declared his intentions in making Accra one of the cleanest cities in the entire African continent.
English, British Accra. This was the center of Accra. The developments that have been made to clean up the Korle Lagoon are very important for the welfare of Accra. Like the harbor in Kufuor's time, plans were made, sods were cut, but since then nothing has happened. We're going to begin again. The commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make. That within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. That is where we want to get to. That is the commitment I'm making on your behalf and on all our behalves.
He also mentioned he's aware sanitation is an objective of Sustainable Development Goal number 6.
On 11th January 2017, 4 days after assuming the highest office of the land, I announced the creation of a Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. Some 3 months later, Jamestown, Accra, I announced my commitment to making Accra the cleanest city on the entire African continent. I share in the belief of former Prime Minister Kofi Busia, who on 18th May 1969 stated that, and I quote, "The health of the people of this country is as much a part of our resources as, say, our cocoa or mineral wealth," unquote. As co-chair of the group of advocates of eminent persons of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, I'm also aware that ensuring access to water and sanitation for all is the objective of SDG number 6. A clean and healthy population is at the heart of our efforts to transform rapidly our nation.
Former President John Dramani Mahama in the year 2014 also declared the first Saturday of each month as a National Sanitation Day following the unforgettable cholera outbreak that claimed over 150 lives in Ghana that year. Over 4 years down the lane, the issue has escaped everyone, and matters concerning sanitation has been left to its own fate. We ask, if there was ever a need to declare a single day out of a whole month to clean our environment. Today, Pan-African TV visited some areas in Accra as part of addressing the issue. This dump site here is located at Aveno, and close sources disclosed to Pan-African TV that this dump site serves as a source of revenue to some officials in the community. In view of this, these residents were reluctant to speak due to fear of being attacked by these top officials in the community. The young man in the video who spoke behind camera admits he picks these cardboards from the dump site and sell to companies to recycle and use for tissue production. He makes some good money out of it. From Aveno, the team moved to Choko, where some residents raised serious concerns. They have set measures in place to clean the gutter, but anytime they do, it gets back to its old state in an hour. Nidodu, a resident, appealed to the government to extend the gutter to help control the sewage.
Okay, right. Say I left. No, mufia mo jump on. Na ba vote to ham and pay. No me know the time I just say go to beje. Ke de bi ene ka gbe kolegonu torete niji kole na torete ke de bi efen ke afen go to beje. Tabo talo le mi wana mene pe di gota ndo mo fiamu o mo ba high tun bi e o wa ko tu bi e o ko je ko jo mi no wa ti osu ni me pinye am ke gbe kan bi a torrent aya torrent mi na ti abanya die mi fen shi me ko me ni ka me be ona arefi ame no aton jo awo goga mi e ka ke ngbe wonu na yi ka ke su yin ke be no na le red e be no na brown keke yinu be yinu ngo ke ngo ne ngo bo modern ni let you of you ege bi enefen jo ba bi e.
This dump site here also is located at Mamprobi, right in front of the Mamprobi Aboje public toilet, which has been abandoned for 3 months. Ni Tete spoke to Pan-African TV.
Say, yeah, man, be blaming me. Say, ke e fa pie ambamba wokea. Ame monre fa namba lokea. Wele beni ndago ke ni bi fen mi na kan le na fiole. Ko obi e mo ni wo ba na le. Ke fi e me bi onu pa me ni yin lo le ba ko e ba dumo bi e de ko me ni me ba chi obola asu.
This is another dump site at Mamprobi Aboje, where a container provided for rubbish dump has been abandoned. Interestingly, as measures to fight poor sanitation, a sanitation minister has been appointed by the president, which is to be the same. So we ask, how difficult is it to fight poor sanitation?
wonim sɛ wo car ho ban bɔ wo nsɛm sɛ wapake asi ekota ade wonam kwan so na akonfo agye wo car na sɛ obi pese efa bibi wo okam abrawani nna ho ene uni haw kra bridge vehicle security wo abɛɛfo mfidie a wobetimi de abɔ ɔka ho ban car alarm system mobile engine lock phone command and notification ene ne ekeka ho nyinaa hwehwɛ bridge vehicle security wo abeka Adama Junction ana frɛ 0276 293 405 ana 030 22 45635 bridge vehicle security ɔka ho banbɔ wɔn nsɛm.
Welcome to GSL Ghana. This is Exide Edge car batteries from America. #1 car batteries currently in town with 6 months to 1 year guarantee. Coastal brand engine oil, also from America. It is premium quality, ranging from full synthetic blend, and mineral base to meet the lubrication need of all our cherished customers. We have 0W16, 0W20, 5W20, 5W30, 15W40 for diesel cars, ATF Dexron 6, and many more. We also have general generators from America, which uses LPG gas. With this generator, you have no wahala with petrol. At GSL Ghana, we check your alternator to make sure it charges your car battery correctly for you. Locate us at 22 Fioyo Street, Awudome, 200 meters away from Azuma Nelson Sports Complex near Charter House, or call us on 0302 268 002 or
Welcome back from the break, viewers. You know, as you can tell, or as I intimated before, and as you watched from the documentary, today we are treating sanitation in the capital. Like I said, it's the 5th of June, and today is World Environment Day. You know, contribute to the conversation. This is something that concerns all of us. I mean, if that documentary did not, you know, awaken something in you, I don't know what else, you know, would. So there's a number right in front of the screen. Send in your text, whatever you have to say, any concerns. If you have any ideas as to what, you know, we can all do to move Ghana forward positively in terms of sanitation, just send that message to the number. Now, let me quickly introduce my guest to you. We would be speaking to Mrs. Ama Ofori Entry. She is the Executive Director of Environmental Service Providers Agency. Now we would speak to her on phone because unfortunately she couldn't make it to the studio. We would also be talking to Dr. Bertha Darteh. You know, she is a sanitation consultant and a civil engineer. Dr. Darteh, welcome. Are you comfortable on the couch?
Oh, well, I'm trying to be.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
You know, and I'm coming across ESPA.
Yes.
For the first time.
Wow.
We're doing this research.
Wow.
Specifically, what is its mandate? What's ESPA about?
Okay. Well, I will not speak on behalf of ESPA, but I'll sort of share the information that is sort of available to everyone. So maybe Ama, when you're able to
do that.
get
I think Ama is already on the line now.
Some more. Oh, brilliant.
Yes, so maybe she can answer that
more,
question
exactly.
for us. Hello. Hello, Mrs. Entry.
Hello, good evening and good evening to your audience.
Good evening, Mrs. Entry. Good evening to you too. Well, happy World Environment Day.
Yes, happy World Environment Day.
I was just asking this question by way of housekeeping, you know, because it's through all of this that I'm starting to appreciate ESPA. It's new to me. If you could please explain perhaps its mandate, so we could appreciate what it stands for?
Environmental service provider certificate is an association of private waste contractors made up of liquid waste, solid waste, landfill operators, recyclers, people into agriculture and all those industrial waste, things relating to the environment and waste management.
Okay, you said private. Hello, Mrs. Entry.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Entry, did you say private? That it's a private organization?
And that is an association of private waste contractors. So it's an association
of private contractors in sanitation, essentially. And I'm wondering, how are you organizing yourself? I'm asking this question because I want to know the extent of government's, I don't want to use the word control, but how it is regulated, basically. Hello, Mrs. Entry. Hello.
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 Mrs. Entry, can you hear me, please?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I'm asking, because you said it was an association of private consultants, in the sanitation industry. I just want to know...
Waste contractors.
Waste contractors, exactly. I just want to know how you organize, your operations, how it's regulated, for instance.
Okay. It's an old association.
Okay.
It's been in existence since 2001.
Okay.
And we work closely with the government and all the municipal and district assemblies.
Okay. So and what exactly do you do?
So we work closely with all the assemblies in Ghana.
Okay.
And the secretariat coordinates the activities of the members.
Okay. Okay. So what exactly do you do beyond the coordination of activities of members? What exactly do you do in terms of helping Accra broadly with sanitation?
The service providers do the service provision, and the secretariat also do the coordination, and then we are engaged in advocacy. We are a lobbying voice between our members, government, and other stakeholders.
Okay, great. So as an advocacy, organization, what would you say accounts for the problem spots we have in the capital? Because I don't know if you watched the documentary, we have some pretty nice areas. And then we have some areas which we should be ashamed of. What would you say is accounting for that sharp difference?
Basically, for those...
Oh, we lost Mrs. Entry. I hope we would get her back, Madam Producers, I hope you are working on that. Okay. So, Mrs. Darteh, let's come to you in the studio. You want to help with any of the questions that I posed to her?
Well, I think maybe we could start off from where you were just ending.
Okay.
About what maybe accounts for the differences in waste collection. But maybe we might want to take a step back first and ask ourselves what is the existing situation. So since you want to look at Accra.
Just Accra.
Yes. I would like us to start from what we call the sanitation service delivery chain. So sanitation, it can be liquid waste, which deals with human excreta and other things. Or in maybe the very broader definition, especially in Ghana, we bring in also solid waste, stormwater, even vector control and other aspects of
You have to break in vector control down.
Oh,
you have
sorry.
done that to me
yes, we'll do that behind the
no, but I want
scenes.
the viewers
But maybe
to
like
appreciate
maybe things like rats and what's not. Okay. I mean, there's all that space also in managing sanitation. But I'm saying is the broader thing you call environmental sanitation, which has all these different aspects. But maybe for our conversation, maybe we might focus more on solid waste and liquid waste. Solid waste often is what we all see, and so everybody always complains a lot more about solid waste. Okay,
I think Mrs. Enchi, welcome back. Hello, Mrs. Enchi. Hello. Oh, Miss Enchi, sorry, forgive me. Miss Enchi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so please, if you could answer the question, or do you want me to rephrase? Hello.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I was asking about the difference. What accounts for that sharp difference in the capital?
Okay. All right. The municipalities, the assemblies themselves have done the classification. So we have first-class areas, second-class areas, and then third-class areas. But what normally happens is, the first-class areas, you realize that the roads are accessible, and then looking at their economic, you realize that they are the affluent in society, and they are willing to pay for a certain provision. Unfortunately, we have the commercial areas, and then the slums, where people do not understand why they should pay for the refuse that the service providers come into pitch. And as you know, enforcement of the bylaws is one hectic one. We hardly get the assemblies to support us in terms of enforcement of the bylaws. So those people in the third-class areas, more often than not, will not subscribe to our services. They'll rather go in for the informal sector, that's the kaya bola. And they at the same time would collect them, dump them back within their vicinities or place dump sites within the metropolis. So currently, this is a challenge that we are having. But ideally, the municipalities have supported the low-income areas or the poor communities within our communities that should have been.
Hello? Hello?
Can get those communities to be clean.
Okay, I like the fact that you brought in the assemblies. You know, I'm happy that you brought in the assemblies and they are helping enforcing the bylaws. Do you think that this is an attitudinal problem, or you think it's an issue of law enforcement? Hello? Hello? Okay, let's try that again. I'll come to you, Mr. Bertha.
Hello?
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 Hello, Miss Entry, we can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, Miss Entry, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, so I was talking about the enforcement of the sanitation bylaws.
Yes.
The contract we signed the assemblies, they are supposed to provide us with the final disposal site for us to dump. But as we speak, none of the assemblies, we all go to Stone, which is in Tema. So it's like only the Tema municipal assembly that has a place for us to dump. So all the rest in Accra, Delta, wherever, has to end up at the landfill. So all this has contributed to the talk that we are witnessing or seeing around.
Okay. Oh, we lost. We lost her again. I think we'll concentrate on you now. Thank you so much, Ms. Ama Ofori Adri, for all the insights you brought into the conversation. She is an executive director of the ESPA, that's the Environmental Service Providers Association. You were saying?
Yes, so I wanted to give sort of like maybe a background to what you want to look at when you are talking of waste management. So as I said, we have the liquid waste and then the solid waste. And from the documentary, we saw a lot of the solid waste issues being shown. And the point I wanted to make at the beginning was that we have what we call the generation, the point of generation. So we are now looking at the chain. How do you manage sanitation? There's a point of generation. Now when it's generated,
collection,
you have to collect, you have to transport, and you have to dispose. And Amma just even mentioned the issue of the final disposal site.
I want us to take it one
yeah,
at
so
a
we
time.
will definitely take it one by one. So often, and even you just mentioned, I hear a lot of things about attitudinal change. And I genuinely and honestly think attitudinal change is important. But sometimes we need certain things that reinforces the kind of positive behaviors we want people to apply. So for example, we tell Bertha, don't litter. Okay, I've heard I won't litter. Where should I put my sort of refuse if I'm walking in town and I just finished eating yogurt? Most likely I have to carry it in my bag and send it home. But most people might think, oh, I don't want to soil my bag, so where do I dump it? Then even when there are bins, public bins, if you put your waste in it, how many times is it serviced? So you might go to places, you see certain public bins which are overflowing. And then you see the dump sites that you showed, this is a communal site. Who is collecting the waste from there? And then where is he going to? So I wouldn't want to say there's, I think it's a very complex problem. Managing waste is very complex. You might even describe it as a wicked problem. Means that there are so many facets to it. There's the behavioral change aspect, and often forgotten is also the engineering or the technical aspect of sanitation. So we need to sort of have solutions that address the different sites. So if you start from generation, in Accra, I think our population is getting around maybe 4 million thereabouts, so we can assume it to be around 4 million. And data suggests that we are generating around 3,000 tons of waste every day. So the question is, this 3,000 tons, how much of it are we able to collect? And then how much of it are we able to transport? So in terms of collection, that's where ESPA comes in. They are the private service providers. You see all these trucks coming in, collecting. So they are providing a service, a certain service. What is the capacity of ESPA to be able to collect? Then they will transport to, let's say, a final disposal site. And that's the point she was making, that these disposal sites don't even exist, or where it exists is almost nearing the end of its design life. So POM was maybe designed for 800, and then maybe it has forced itself to be taking maybe 1,005, and I'm saying we are generating 3,000. So where is the rest going to? I mean, I know Zoom Lion has a plant at is it at Jekutuku? It's a composting and recycling plant. There's also a dump site at Insumia, but together all these three don't even match up to the capacity that can, you know, it doesn't match up to the 3,000 tons a day. So already at the end, you know that there's a deficit.
That's a problem.
Exactly. And then even in terms of collection capacity, again, perhaps I may have to mention Zoom Lion, appears to be the one with the largest capacity. Of course, there's Jekora, there's Stanley, so different companies that all form part of ESPA, and all these have their capacities that they are able to carry. So if we calculate all the carrying capacities of these companies, and it's not up to the 3,000, then we realize that there's always going to be a deficit. So there is an issue from the final disposal site. If you just do a rough calculation, you can say that it means that maybe 30% of the waste cannot go anywhere. So that's 30% that's not going anywhere. You see it in the streets, you see it in gutters, you see it in. So I think that is where fundamentally the problem exists. That is with solid waste management. So because that one is easily seen, a lot of people then complain about sanitation. So if you want to improve solid waste management, I think it's a very basic. we need to begin to improve that delivery chain. We need to improve our capacity to collect. So at the household level, people should have bins. In their community, there should be bins. There should be appropriate collection sites. And then in terms of transport, we need to support the capacity of the, now we are using a lot more private sector. So there should be some way of ensuring that the capacity of the private sector can be, built up. Private sector will often complain about government owing them, but that's another issue altogether. And then at the final disposal, we should have enough treatment plants that accept the waste. So that is, this is just the very basic, but as we have our discussions, we can begin to talk about
build on it.
Aspects of managing
The immediate
waste.
question that comes to mind is the fact that, and for an organization like ESPA, this is something we've done over and over and over again. She's telling us they've been in existence for a while now.
Exactly.
And so as service providers who, I'm sure there's a passion to clean Accra. There's a genuine passion to clean Accra. So if you've identified, and I'm sorry I'm posing this question to you because unfortunately, we can't speak to Ms. Entry for that long. This would have been a question for her.
Exactly.
Because if you've identified the problems and you can tell what the chain is, collection, disposal, what to do with what has been collected. As an organization, what are you doing to help us? And of course you talk about government owing.
Not me. They
will, of course.
Exactly.
Yes, they will talk about government owing and all of that. But if there's that real zeal and passion for it, then at least let's see some. She's talking about advocacy, but can we see more? Would that solve the issue though? Quickly before we go on our first
but that's why I just said that. You see, the solution to these things are more complex than we imagine, because if you solve one side, there's another side, waiting for you. Bottom line, first, is their capacity enough? You see, and so for a private person in business, he's in to make, some
money,
profits,
obviously,
and therefore also provide a service. So if he's not getting enough to be able to even run his operation, then the question was, he even invest in more, let's say, machinery or equipment to improve the capacity? So that's one aspect of it. But of course, we can expect them to do more. So then the question is, how do we ensure that they can do more? Then it comes back to monitoring. Are we able to monitor the kind of services they are expected to run? What kind of service delivery levels are we even defined for each of these?
See, I asked about mandates, so we'll come back and talk about
yes, exactly.
mandates.
So we could look at all the dimensions.
Definitely.
Okay,
Viewers,
great.
we are taking our first commercial break at this point, but don't forget, quickly grab yourself a sparkle water and wait for us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Ben, Cedria, Yatra, Mr. Kim. Straw showing every year.
Oh, Kusia, a member draw, Gaza Limited for Akofaba, the Piasso Bomitisu, and he said, because so much Madame for Adolf. And what Chairman said, a draw, Mr. Kill, Nico on her, and he said, no, no, so
Since I am 1 million, and running down the boots as I your back.
Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill.
Come in.
Yeah. Oh, don't let say that here. Mr. Kill. When you should back up, and not the call, you know, maybe the way come out. Mr. Kill. Oh, yeah, Kill back up.
I give you all a boy could give you.
I'm home. I'm coming to me. Oh, into that honey, sir. Dang.
Paso. So when him dem menstrual pains, I me work kitchen when him ni subira be da hanoma. Ka won ka duane asem. Adai, wo pe duane sa. Ye mema asem.
Oh, Mr. Joro. Oh, what happened? Try me ba. What for cocoa bitters? Menstrual pains. I friend no eni dane. When you subiri, anansi achew. Somnaje. Yen kasa be manim say. What for cocoa capsules? A day and number 2, and you minute 2, and your friend say, Calamity 2, Draveni, what ten a jum was seen to me near Juma. One more draw wabia, was this in Bedao, Amadeus or DM, or the J.
A drawing and yama a pin for, one warmer and manu for, a name more fra when you fear do me.
Ghana Faja to Munti, cover 4 Anthony Dean say, Male.
Oh, Baswa.
The Bridge Kiddie tab is your best gadget option for the kids. It is a real tablet with a lot of educational and entertaining apps. It is very strong and durable. Bridge Kiddie tab, the best learning companion for every child.
Welcome back from the break, viewers. We are still talking sanitation with Dr. Bertha Darteh. Please, before we left, I was posing the question about the parameters, the structures, and perhaps government's involvement. Because now I'm realizing that perhaps it's a three-legged issue, There's, of course, the attitude. I insist on that attitude now.
Definitely.
So there is that. And then I want to look at the legal aspect too, because enforcement can solve a lot of these. When we're talking to Mrs. Entry, she made a point about assemblies helping in enforcing the bylaws. So obviously, for somebody who is an executive director of ESPA, she recognizes the importance of the law in all of this. And I'm also looking at this other aspect, which is perhaps new to me, policy. Proper operational, how do I say it, mechanisms, can I say that? So for me now, I'm seeing that this issue has three legs. You don't want to capitalize on attitude because you think that it's not.
No, it is important. I mean, I'm not saying it is not important, but I think the point I was making is that managing sanitation is a complexity of things. So that is the point I was making, for example, that if it is about attitude and he says to somebody, don't do this, the question is, what is the alternative? What should he do? So if you say don't do it, it's fine, I'm not going to, but what should I do in place of my wrong behavior or my wrong attitude?
So that brings us to the policy. How, what, specifics?
Yes, so, but you see, Ghana, the good thing about Ghana is we have a lot of policies. You'll be surprised. I mean, I think in 1999 there was environmental sanitation policy. Even that was when things like the environmental sanitation day were actually even written down, those times. And before then there were other policies and other things, but in 99 consolidated into one policy, revised in 2010, and there's a policy, very good policy. Then after the policy was done, there's something that's called National Environmental Sanitation Strategic Action Plan, which was developed 2010 to 2020 to actually give legs or give strength to the policy, things that we could implement. So there were things like trying recycling, and I remember one statement in there. It's a very nice document. You should try to read it.
I will.
It said something about we should see waste as materials in transition.
Yes, I saw that.
So there is value mint. So the policy of minting. And that is in our NESAP, and it even defines the kind of things we can do to try and reduce waste, to try and possibly recycle, to try and... So there are so many things that you find in policy, but I think maybe the gap might be in how we operationalize it. And operationalization of these policies, particularly for waste management, is done at the assembly level, the district assembly level. So then we need to ask ourselves, is the structure of the district assembly maybe adequate to be able to operationalize these kind of things that are in our policy? So if you go to a typical MMDA, so the metropolitans have waste management departments, but municipal and then district assemblies, they don't have waste management departments. So already you see that when it comes to the institutions, there may be a certain lack. And so you also have the public health departments. They are more into the enforcement aspects which you are talking about. There's the education.
Even before you head into that area, I just want us to appreciate the laws.
Yes.
What is presently,
yes.
Because there are bylaws. What do they say? Educate us.
So the question you want to ask, as for bylaws, there are so many bylaws.
I want the ones that are specific to the everyday person.
Okay, let me give you one simple bylaw. That's okay. So this one, it says that you should have a toilet in your house. Very simple. every landlord should have a toilet in his house. But if you should go around, a lot of people build and they don't provide toilets for their tenants. So if you talk of SDG 6, you know, Ghana missed the MDGs on sanitation. So we are now looking to SDG. We achieve it. Currently, only 20% of the population have toilets in their own homes.
20%.
Only 20%. So if you take 10 people, 2 of them will not have toilets. The rest, maybe about 60%, might be using public toilets. And you saw the documentary, you saw the kind of public toilets that they have. So if you have to use the toilet like that, maybe you might prefer the beach because it's safer than the toilet. And so the rest, the other 20%, every morning they are squatting in a drain or they are squatting at the beach. So you see, the landlord has not provided a toilet. But because you're a tenant, maybe you may not have the right to go and be insisting or challenging, because he might tell you, okay, if you want a toilet and you don't have one, move. Exactly. So you move out and then you may not have what you need. So the question is, how easy is it also to enforce? So that's why the issue about attitudinal change that you talked about comes in. There are so many complexities. One, if I want to build a toilet, what type of toilet will I build? Because we don't have sewer systems. So it's not going to be flash and forget. The toilet will be sitting with you. So you'll be asking yourself, this toilet, if it gets full, how will I manage it? And especially if you live in a slum, it means a big truck is not going to come and pull it like how it can pull somebody's septic tank from, a better planned area. So you realize that's why I said there are layers behind layers, So
again, I'm sorry to ask you this question, because obviously this would have been a question for me, Zainchi.
Yes.
So obviously enforcing the bylaws is an integral part of solving the sanitation problem in Accra.
It is
Integral part of the conversation. We know the laws. This law that you just quoted, I know it. I'm sure most Ghanaians know it. So, and it is the assemblies who should be helping with enforcing these laws.
They should be leading them.
Definitely not ESPA.
No.
All they can do is advocate.
Definitely.
So now that we've appreciated the situation in this context, I would have thought that ESPA's activities would be geared, one track. Assemblies get to enforcing the laws. Am I being naive?
Oh, well, let's not call it naive. I mean, essentially, yes. If you identify this is where your problem is very critical, you would want to, attack the problem from there. But I think it's not as easy as that, because currently, even in Accra alone, the gap for toilets, maybe if we were to use the SDG standard, maybe about 500,000 toilets would be needed.
I'm sorry to catch you, Dr. Darteh, but isn't that a problem?
No, but the issue is to look at where exactly is the problem and, deal with it that way. It's easy to talk of enforcement, but you see, that's why I'm trying to present the complexity of why it's difficult to enforce. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that's what we should do tomorrow. If the whole Accra was sewed and you built your house and all you had to do was to put a bowl there and put a pipe in it, I can tell you, nobody would be thinking, how difficult will I build a toilet? But the technology itself, because look at mobile phones. Everybody has a mobile phone. It doesn't matter
I was even going to make even simpler examples than mobile phones.
But you see, mobile phone, you are transmitting it by electromagnetic
make a simpler example than that.
Electromagnetic waves in the air. But for sanitation, it's more complex. Because let me tell you, even the toilets, when they were picking it, maybe just 2 years ago, they were putting it directly into the sea. So if you walk across to the sea and the government also puts it in the sea,
what's the same thing?
No, I'm not saying it's
right. I understand. I can appreciate what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's right.
But all I'm saying is, if we keep making, and I know excuses is not the right word.
No. We are not making excuses. We'll talk of solutions.
If we keep saying that it will be hard to enforce these bylaws because it's a complex problem, and of course we want to bring, sometimes you might even want to attach the human face to the whole conversation, for instance, expenses and things like that. Would we not be the problem? Is that not the problem by itself? Because in other places, this is the law and we are all going by the law. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, but you see, there should be, let me ask you a question. If you don't have water in your house, will somebody arrest you for not having a pipe coming to your house?
No.
Okay, but water and sanitation, that thing is also a human right as well. It's been approved by the UN to be a human right. So if you have a right, I'm just giving you the scenario. If you have a right to water, and government has not been able to pipe water to your house, he can't come and arrest you. Then if he has not been able to pipe a sewer line to allow you to build your toilet, should he arrest you? I mean, that I'm just giving the complexity. I'm not saying this is right or this is wrong. I'm just saying that in sanitation is more complex than we imagine, and so we need systems. And one of the systems is the advocacy or the attitudinal change you are talking about. People have to sufficiently demand toilets such that they would look for means to solve that problem. And the problem will not only be at the household level, because after you've built the toilet, it will get full. Where will you send recently these days, there's these biodigesters that have come in, and you don't have to dislodge as often. And then there was also the issue of space, because in a densely populated area, you can't do a septic tank behind your house. So you need a very small unit. So now we are trying
they are really small, actually.
Yes,
the ones that are coming up now.
The biodigesters.
Really, really small.
Yes, but even for that, sometimes you have to look at the effluent, the quality. You are still. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many little. If you solve one problem, there's another problem you have to solve, and that's why it's layers. But I think the most important thing is the consistency with which we address the different issues. So if we identify that financing is an issue, how do you help household to get toilets at a good price? So this is something maybe government is already working on, trying to reduce cost of facilities. I know there have been a number of projects. I know Duraplast came up with like Dignilu through a certain project so that it can reduce the cost. So that is one option. So once the cost comes down, because look at mobile phone, maybe 30 years ago, a chip would have been very expensive and it would have been difficult to get a phone. But once the cost comes down, then everybody can afford. And so when there's sufficient demand, and so it's a market thing, demand and supply. We want it, you can get it at a good technology at a good cost. Then people get on board. Or government can facilitate. Can they provide sewers? Can they provide cheaper options for people? So there are different things.
Do you think that the sector is adequately funded?
Well, funding has always been a problem for the sector. I mean, it has always been a problem for the sector. But I think sometimes...
And do you think that funding would help?
You see, usually when the question is, if I gave you funding, what will you do with it? So often, that's why I was saying that we need to understand the different dimensions of the complexities and now say that this is what it will cost us to deliver sanitation for everybody. Then we can ask ourselves, where do we get it from? So if it's better that every month I'll have to pay 1 cedi every month, then I know I'm paying 1 cedi every month for something that is good for everybody. Previously, you see, if you look at something like water supply, previously we had like Ghana Water and sewerage, and the sewerage aspect was handling issues around sewerage. And so some places in Accra, you could just connect directly to a sewerage. For the newly developed places, the sewerage didn't get there, so most people did septic tanks. And now the option for a little biodigester is coming up. So maybe that is what might, serve the rest of the population. But we just need to identify what works for everybody and what the costs are. And the cost goes into a lot of things. The assembly people, I'll tell you a story. Last week, I was at my place and somebody came to dump some construction waste there. And I saw the person, and so I called the assembly and they came in and they went to tell the person to collect it. Now, the ladies that came, they didn't come with an assembly car. You know what I mean? They took their own car to come. Or if you have a car, you go and pick them and bring them. So that enforcement you're talking about, they are willing to do it. But imagine that the resource is not enough, that the 510 environmental health officers may not be adequately equipped. If they arrest somebody even doing something, but they have to take the person in with their own taxi and send him to court and go and prosecute him. So
funding would help.
Well, funding, but not necessarily funding, just generic word funding. Yes, funding is very, very, very important. But we should have clear things we want to use the funds to do. So if funds comes to assembly should would you use it for? Maybe they budget for sanitation every year. But what do they use it for? Do they use it for cleanup, or do they use it to pay? What do they use it for? So those are things that we need to begin to ask ourselves, that every year.
And these are not in all the policies that we have, because we have a lot of policies.
Yes.
These are not streamlined in all the policies that we have.
The funding.
What the funding should be used for.
I think in the NESAP, is generically defined. But you see, the assemblies, they are in charge of what they want to do. So if an assembly they are supposed to draw what we call District Environmental Sanitation Action Plan, and then they'll cost that plan. And then based on the cost of the plan, they should be able to implement. And the Ministry of Local Government, I believe, would monitor and see, do you have a DESAP, do you have your environmental sanitation plan? To what extent have you implemented it? They might score 75%. Why? Because maybe, I'm not saying that is what it is, maybe they put only cleanup activities there. So if I did all the 20 cleanups I said I would do, it's a sanitation activity, isn't it?
I've covered I've ticked the boxes, literally.
So that's what I'm saying, that we need to really unpack the most critical things, that funds that are earmarked for sanitation should be used for. But definitely there's a huge funding gap. And in Ghana, I think most of the funding for sanitation, if I'm not mistaken, comes a lot from the donor community. So we are heavily reliant on donor inflows.
Now we are saying Ghana Beyond Aid.
Yes, so if you are saying Ghana Beyond Aid, now governments can decide to prioritize.
Now we are saying Ghana Beyond Aid.
No, certainly. But I think I like the fact that the president said, oh, look, we can make Accra the cleanest city.
You took me right there. Is that achievable?
Well, everything is achievable. But I like the statement he made. I actually wrote it down. Okay. It says that it is a commitment that I want all of us to make. So I think it
takes us back to attitude.
Exactly. That's where I was also coming back. It takes us back to the thing is, can we do it? If we say yes, we can. And the reason why I was happy with that statement the president makes, there can be one thing that every single Ghanaian can say, look, we are all committing ourselves to make sure that we keep our environment clean. What can I do? What part can I play? So at my home, I will know that I will not come and dump my refuse outside. I'll make sure that it is collected properly. It is sent to the right place. And when when private sector also collects waste, they have to make sure they are more efficient. And then assembly should have the final disposal
home. I want us to have some very practical, because so far we've been very, can I say, technical? Talking about it in terms of the broader. Let's bring it home.
Yes.
Let's bring it to our homes directly. Yes. Say I live in, because when I asked Miss MP about that, what causes the sharp difference in, because we saw it in the documentary. Some areas beautiful, the Trasacos, the East Legon, beautiful places, and then you go to the Chokos and the Jamestown, and it's a totally different story. Now you've spoken to us about the policies and the fact that sometimes there's nothing to build on. Essentially, the person might want to, but there's nothing to build on. Okay, so assuming I live in Jamestown, and where I live doesn't even allow for a truck to come and take my rubbish away, what are some of the practical things I can do to help myself?
Okay, well, you can't do much except to do what is good. So you saw in the documentary what we would call sanitary sites. Previously, in a lot of places in Accra, you have them there. I mean, I don't know whether they still exist as many as before, but the sanitary sites exist. So what you saw is a sanitary site, but that sanitary site is not well managed. You see the issue. So the people are doing something good. That's why you can see a lot of waste. It means people are carrying their waste to the sanitary site. So the challenge in that video that we see is not people not carrying their waste there. It is the waste being collected from the sanitary site and sent to the disposal sites. So the issue is not the attitude of the people, because what I like about low-income communities, having worked in them, is what we call social capital. I mean, look, you can mobilize these people, and if they make up their mind together that they want to do something, I'm telling you, you can't even beat them. They will do it. So they want to do it. So how do we enable them? That is why they've carried the waste from their house to the sanitary site. So whichever environmental service provider's duty is to do public cleansing. So one of the functions of the assembly is also to ensure that public cleansing is done. So the site is there. We've brought our waste. That waste needs to be collected. So if that waste service provider is not collecting, would there be any punitive measure to him, or he will just come and bring me his bill at the end of the month to say that, okay, pay me whatever for collecting waste when he has not collected it? So it's also about monitoring. It's also about checking whether providers provide the kind of service they charge assemblies for.
Who is monitoring?
Well, that's why there are levels. I think maybe ministries provide monitoring function as well. So that could be not a question for Bertha, but maybe it's a bigger question we could ask ourselves.
For the ministry.
Yes, we could ask ourselves.
And I like to state here now that we tried to contact the ministry, but unfortunately, we were. I think the minister is out of town, right, producer? Yes. So we tried to contact them because we had some of these questions we wanted to pose, you know, directly to.
But I think
minister.
they are doing a lot. I mean, sometimes the other thing to say, like you said, it's easier to see the challenges, and sometimes some of the work takes a long time to get traction, to begin to show the kind of results and skill that you want to see. So sometimes they are doing a lot. Maybe it's a new ministry that was created less than a year ago, structuring themselves, identifying the gaps, what kind of things can we do. You might say, oh well, this takes time, but you need to do it right from the beginning so that when you are moving into action, then it's easier. And so sometimes people might say, oh, nothing is being done, but all of a sudden, before you realize, a lot has been done in a short time. That means that they were taking their time to make sure that they were getting the fundamentals.
But do we have that
right.
luxury?
No, we don't have the luxury.
As Accra, as the capital of Ghana, do we have the luxury to relax and, you know, take our time and do things? I mean, because sanitation is a problem in the capital, isn't it? And if there's a part of Ghana that should not have sanitation problems, I would have thought that it would be Accra.
Well, we don't have the luxury of time.
We do not.
But you see, the thing is that they say that if you, there are two things. I've forgotten what these, is it motivational people say? But there was one thing about if you want to go far, maybe you take your time to go far or something. Maybe if you run along and then you go and fall. No, the bottom line is we don't have the luxury of time. But it is important to be able to find actions that address the problem in the right manner, in an efficient manner. Because, for example, take, let's say, National Sanitation Day. We started Sanitation Day. Every, first Saturday for how many years? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. We were cleaning. If that is what will solve the problem, after 4 years or 5 years, we would have solved that problem. But 6, 7 years down the line, we still see this. So that it would have told you that whilst it's a good, initiative to, stir up public, awareness about the need for cleanliness, there is more that needs to be done. And that's why I told you that beyond public awareness, there is the systems that need to carry your waste and send it to where it has to be sent, where it has to be treated. And let me talk here about the waste management hierarchy. So, for example, the first option is we shouldn't produce waste at all. We should reduce how much waste we produce. We should prevent. But if you can't reduce or prevent, then you have to try and reuse. And then if you can't reuse, then you have to now ask yourself, what can I get from it? So you sort. Accra, maybe more than 50 to 60% of the waste is organic. Can we sort, bring it out, and then use it as fertilizer? Or we were talking about plastic. 10 to 14% is plastic. What can we do with the plastic? And so you do recycling. If it doesn't work, then the rest you can burn it and get energy out of it. So we talk of waste to energy. Then if you can't do anything at all about the waste, then you go and dispose of it. So in that case, you have created value from the waste right from beginning, and until you are sure that this waste, there's nothing we can do, and so you send it to your landfill. In that case, your landfill will even last longer. But as it is now, we are at that bottom, the number 5. We are just disposing, carry, dispose. And engineered landfill sites, how many do we have? Apart from Pong in Accra, maybe one in Takoradi, maybe one in Kumasi. How many?
It's interesting that you bring this up. I think sometime in the UK, and I remember this very well, they brought up this policy where, you know how you used to go to grocery shopping and you just pick the bags.
Yes,
I remember.
And now you buy it for 5p.
Now you have to buy for 5p, and obviously that's somebody thought through this and decided that once people are actually paying for the bags they pack their groceries in, they wouldn't take too much. You won't take that many. You now think about it. People will now recycle. As students, I remember you take one, and when you are going back, you put it in your bag and take the same bag.
You would assume that people will not take my, but I think with time, I mean, it becomes like, okay, it's not a big deal. Let me just pay the 5p and buy.
But the point
the good thing is that 5p goes into helping to clean it up. So, even in Ghana, we have a plastic waste management fund, which was set up because there was a time when people thought we should ban plastic waste. And it was actually, the plastic was taxed, and I think the money should be somewhere.
Yes, I just want you to add that up and comment on all of that. The environmental excise tax, if you could just, give us.
Yeah, so the question we now have, that's why I was telling you about the funding. If you have the funds, what will you do with it? So that tax is sitting there. The question is, how much have we accessed, how much have we used it for, and what has it even done for us? So that's the point I'm making. That sometimes we might say funding, and when the fund comes, you don't even know what to do with it.
I didn't even bring that up in terms of fund. I just brought that up in terms of practical things we could do to get people to not generate more waste. Yes. Because all of these polythene bags are a problem, are they not? All of our gutters that are choked, you see all these black polythene bags in the sachet water, all the wrappers, you know. So these are practical things perhaps we could do to bring the waste down. And I'm taking a cue from what you said, you know, about making sure that we don't generate a lot of waste.
Yes. So, I mean, there are things you can do at household level. I mean, so at our household level, for example, instead of using maybe tissue paper and just tearing tissues, you can decide, okay, I want to use napkins. But you know, maybe somebody, oh, I don't even have water to wash this. Instead of using disposable, you might want to use proper plates so that when you finish, you wash. So those are simple things that reduce waste. I mean, in the broader environment, sometimes it is also about creating value for waste. Because if you tell me that I should manage the waste well, the question is, where do I send it to? So, for example, we don't want plastic in the environment. Okay, you collect it. What will you do with the plastic that you've collected? There has to be some kind of recycling industry that takes it and recreates a high value product out of what you have put. I know there are a few companies trying to do some stuff here in Ghana, but the question is, what is the skill? Because you produce, Accra alone will produce maybe about 300 tons a day. And if you can collect only like 8 tons, then you see that so sometimes the issues, the scale at which we have to address the issues is some of the things we are not able to meet. But I think things are being done, and collectively it's also about building synergies across the different solutions, because somebody is doing something here, somebody is doing something there, ministry is doing something, but sometimes it's about, you know, coordinating and bringing synergy to the activities that various stakeholders are doing. Then we can all collectively, you know, work together to achieve something. So yes, let's start from behavior change. Everybody should commit himself to do what is right. Like today, the world is committing themselves to say no to single-use plastic as part of World Environment Day. So even McDonald's and things are thinking, okay, we want to ban single-use plastic in our thing. But locally, what can we do? What can I do? I mean, I think one of the things I started doing when I went to live where I was trying to separate my waste. But I realized that when you separate it and the companies come, they just put everything together because
that's a big deal somewhere else.
Exactly.
If you don't separate your waste, they will not pick it up.
Well, but here
they give you 3 containers.
Exactly.
One for your bottles.
Compost, yes, exactly.
They give you the smaller one for your food.
Exactly.
You know, and if you mix it up, they will not pick it up.
Exactly. But unfortunately, our system has not advanced there. I mean, Jekora Ventures, I know, is doing a little bit of waste separation, particularly in the areas where they collect waste. But you saw in the clip.
I just wanted you to make a quick commentary on the National Sanitation Authority, and if you think personally, you know, this is your personal opinion, if you think it will make such a radical difference to all of this.
Oh wow!
And our time is running out.
Okay, well, I mean, for me,
because ESPA is advocating strongly for
National Sanitation Authority. So it always comes back to what will be the function of the authority, or what gap are we seeking to fill with an authority. So if we identify that this is really the problem we have, and without having an authority we can't solve that problem, then the authority becomes important. But if we look at the assessments, because the question is, which gap is the authority going to fill? Currently, what institutional gap is it going to fill? Because we have the waste, the assemblies which are supposed to you know, deliver waste management, and so each assembly should be equipped with the right structures in terms of having a waste management department, and each assembly should have the right professionals, including public health engineers, including people who can plan for waste management, and then those who do the enforcement. So once you have those structures at the base level, and then you have at the national level, there's the ministry, a policy making institution, then you ask yourself, if we create an authority, what gap is it going to fill? So I'm not saying it's not important. I would support something like that, definitely. And maybe I've been an advocate sometime around things like certain institutional changes that we need. But what I'm just saying is we need to ask ourselves, what specific gap will such an authority address. If we can't define it very well, then it becomes very difficult just to ask for an institution, because we have learned that if you just create an institution, doesn't mean you are solving your problems. It doesn't mean
much. We have just about a minute to go.
Yes.
You know, and this question is from me directly. This is something that always beats my mind.
Okay.
What would you say about the situation of slums in the capital?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm asking this question because of this whole issue about Sodom and Gomorrah. It was a huge issue at the time. You know, should we give it a human face? Should we just eliminate the place because it posed a sanitation threat, didn't it? What would be your general commentary as a country? Should we be looking forward to doing away with these slums?
For me, I think if you don't allow it to happen in the first place, it's best. Prevention is better than trying to cure it, because curative things are more difficult things. And from maybe if you're looking at places that are flood prone, especially slum areas are very flood prone, so they stand a risk of, you know, having to deal with issues of flooding. But I think for now you would have to tactfully address slum areas. But you see, as I said, there's a lot of social capital in the slums. If you engage them, you can do a lot with them. And we should learn to embrace informality. We've allowed it to happen. So we should learn to embrace it in the right direction.
Again, is that not part of our problem?
No, but there's nothing wrong with informality. I mean, for example, we keep taking maybe Bola taxis. They are dumping the refuse at the wrong place. But you see, they are filling a gap that the big trucks are not able to fill. So if we created transfer stations for them, would that not be easier for them within a certain vicinity to be carrying and sending it there? And then we make sure that we carry that big truck that they've come to dump into straight to the final disposal site. So embracing informality doesn't mean you are endorsing illegality. You need to make sure that the informal structures work to deliver the results that you want. That's the point I'm making. So to be honest with you, you can engage the people at Sodom and Gomorrah. You'll be shocked at how rational and how strong they can be, and they can keep their environments clean if we can engage with them well. So for me, in terms of maybe the long-term view, we could engage with them to even see what alternatives. Let me give you a very quick example before we go off. You see, you know why that place is important for them? Where is the Central Business District? It's very close to them. They can't take car from the outskirts of Accra and come to Accra every day. Your bulk breaking markets, Agbogboleshi, where most of them are Kayaye, is just next to them. They can't go and live far and be taking a car and come, but they can walk to their workplace every day. So if you move, I'm not saying move Agbogboleshi, I'm just giving. So if you move the bulk breaking markets to the outskirts of Accra, or create another one there, they will move close to where they are working. So that's something that the complexities, if you understand what leads to what, then your solution will address the one that is causing the bigger problem.
But if we don't have laws that we would enforce strictly, decentralizing would only mean creating another slum area in perhaps
but the question is who enforces the law. So when I told you somebody put something in front of my house, I put on Twitter and asked myself, what role does Ghana Police Service, for example, have in sanitation? If you gave the UK example, there's this program called Police Enforcers. I don't know if you ever watch it. Somebody was urinating outside, and the police were the ones who accosted him and said, oh, why are you urinating outside? Then the police asked him, do you have a toilet in your house? They said, no. Where you are going, is there a toilet there? You see the question the policeman is asking. Here, if I am throwing something on the ground and the policeman sees me, will he arrest me? If I'm wee-weeing and a policeman sees me, will he arrest me? Or maybe he may not even have a place to wee-wee. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying we should accept our status. No, we can change, but it takes commitment and everybody working together.
It just takes applying the law strictly.
No, it takes.
That's what I think.
No, let me tell you something. When it comes to enforcement, you start from educating people, and then you educate to some point. Then you begin to push compliance. And after you push compliance is not working, then the recalcitrant people, you would enforce the law on them. I can assure you, society is such that education will change a certain percentage. Pushing compliance will change a certain percentage. The last bit is often where you push the enforcement.
We've run over time.
Yes.
But I mean, is it a gloomy picture? Just to end the whole conversation, is it a gloomy picture? Is there hope? Do you think that what the president is saying about making Accra the cleanest city in the world, do you think that this is something that can happen?
I believe it can happen. Okay. It's just about believing in Ghana, believing in the power of the people, developing the right systems and committing ourselves. The commitment is very important. Committing ourselves fully to it, and we can achieve the results that we want to achieve. So I'm sure we can follow up sometime And Pan-African can do its own bits.
Definitely.
And we'll discuss what Pan-African can come up with. And
Definitely.
you play your own role, and we'll see how we can all contribute to achieve a very clean city. We can do it as Ghana.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'd like to say thank you again to you, welcome. Dr. Bertha Darteh. Yeah. You are a sanitation consultant and a civil engineer. Thank you so much for your time this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'd also like to say thank you to you, Miss Ama Ofori MP, who happens to be the Executive Director of Environmental Service Providers Agency. Thank you so much. It's an agency or association. Thank you so much for your time on the show. I wish our lines were better, so you could have given us more. Well, let me take this opportunity to also acknowledge my supporters. I'd like to say thank you to Bridge, for the tablets that we use. Sorry that we couldn't read your messages. We are having just a little bit of a hit. I'd also like to say thank you to Rudy K Beauty Bar for my makeup. Her number is 02499393320. I'll take that again. It's 024993938. Her name is Rudy. That's Rudy K Beauty Bar. Contact her, for all your makeup services. Today, I also like to acknowledge a new supporter, a new sponsor on the show. That is Black George Superstore. Now, they deal in all things furniture and accessories. So if you're looking at the beautiful pieces, the lamp and that beautiful red candle, all of these are from Black George Superstore. Okay, so I'd also like to acknowledge all of my producers. I'd like to say thank you to Abigail. I'd like to say thank you to Madam Maud herself. I'd like to say thank you to Chidi. And of course to all the technical guys, Ni, Nana K, Edem, all of you. We've had a great show. Let's keep it this way for the rest of the week. Well, to end the show, I'd just like to say that there's very little I can add to what has been said. She's the expert and she schooled me today. Hopefully we will continue with this conversation, At another time, we'd like to also look at the effects of sanitation, within the capital. So we just wanted to understand the situation, just an overview of what the situation is, what the policies are, what the laws are, and I hope you learned something, because I did. So, well, happy World Environment Day. I hope you, in one way or the other, in your own small way, keep your own environment very, very, very clean. I'll see you again on Thursday. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Oh, na na na, King promise, yeah.
Q beats, let's go.
Oh, na na na, yeah. Me say I do me, sure me, You know me say I be better past anybody. They say we sure, and your boy, no. See, so when they hustle, know they make chance pass me by. So make you do your best and use your sense. I show the stress since I put God first. Charlie, it no be race, it no be test. And Jah guide so no one can test. Yeah. So make you tell them. So we do come, no they fear them. Baba God did for my side, so no shake.
Yeah, when you be a on tonko na ondo. On any CCTV, they be an anyone me so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear. Every day be your guide. Yeah, when you be a on tonko na ondo. On any CCTV, they be an anyone me so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear. Every day be your guide. So
make you no cry, Say you go be, make you still try, You know draw money, yeah, when you walk, I shit no good way. I pity make you no cry, still try.